similar. I always use clear cast resin, which is the most expensive.
Is that polyester?
Polyester resin. Very stinky. A lot of people can't get near it because they can smell it. Takes several days to off-gas it, so you have to leave it outside to off-gas. But even then, some people who have acute smell can still smell it a week later. I can't smell it. I love the smell. You know, it's almost like it's a high for me. That must be burning brain cells by the thousands. You know, I've smelt this for over 15 years. So resin. The resin attracts the negative energy because it's an organic compound. Originally comes from oil, gas. So it attracts it. And you have to have metal of some sort. Doesn't matter. Metal, zinc, the finer, the better. If you have metal powder, that's probably the ultimate best, but it's always difficult to get metal powder. So I get the finest metal now from your dad. And before that I had larger metal, and it works. They all work. But the smaller and finer the metal is, the more easily it is to work with it. So resin, metal, and a crystal. Crystals, if I have like this one, a large crystal, then I wrap a copper coil around it. And that conducts energy out the top. And I make certain coils. The coils have an energetic quality, so the more you put in them, the more probably it amplifies the energy.
So would you say that more coil wraps means more energy?
Yes.
Okay.
Just the same effect as wrapping the coils around your foot.
Right.
Each coil increases the power. But away from the other, now when we're talking with orgone generators, essentially the same effect occurs. It's a transmitter of energy, and energy always moves in a circular motion, never in a straight line.
Right.
Everything in the universe, there is no straight line. Everything is curved. It looks like a straight line because the distance is so short for us. But when we look from here to the moon, things begin to curve. The farther you go, the more you see the curve.
Does it have to curve in a certain direction?
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah, there's left-handed winding and right-handed. What I do is most of us who make orgone generators, we use the Egyptian cubit lengths. There's the royal cubit and the regular Egyptian cubit, and the difference is a matter of a couple of inches between the royal cubit and the regular cubit. But if you take the royal cubit, which is 21.6 some inches, and take multiples of that, cut it in half, and in half again, it still works the same as the original length. Okay. The important thing is that you have it again, so you can get multiples of the original. And that definitely, it's hard to prove this, but everybody who's been doing this and who has done the research and using coils and can dowse for these energies all say that if you follow certain precise procedures, the energy is much more measurable through dowsing, through energetic means, than if you just willy-nilly take any length of wire. But I think if you take any length of wire and coiled it, it will still work.
Right.
But it's not as effective as if you use these dimensions that have been handed down to us from several thousand years ago that were practiced by the Egyptians.
Could you explain the coils you use? Because I see you hand wire them. You
Yeah.
Everything is handmade, of course.
Yeah, and
But you use a different combination of, and you mentioned to me that they have different names. And
they have different
purpose.
names, but I don't even. This is a yin yang coil, because if you look in the center, it has that yin yang symbol. But again, these are made to specific ratios, the wires,
Yeah.
according to the cubit length. Okay,
Wow.
the royal cubit. So, and the wires have to be precisely done in a certain way. If you take a coil, like the Triskelion coil,
Is there a meaning for the word?
well, it's an ancient water symbol.
Okay.
And they found the Triskelion in various cultures around the world, predominantly in Old Ireland, chiseled in stone. Very fancily done. Boy, somebody must have gone through a lot of work to chisel them. But they found them in other places. An ancient water symbol. I'm pretty sure it comes from an ancient civilization that wiped itself out. And we have the evidence left to us from ancient civilizations. And there's a lot we're going to eventually still, if we don't wipe ourselves out, we will discover evidence of other civilizations buried in the desert sands and God knows where in India and Africa. So they're wound, all three coils in a Triskelion is from one piece of wire. And they have to be wound in a clockwise fashion. If two of these coils are clockwise and I reverse one and go counterclockwise, so I have two clockwise and one anti-clockwise, the coil will not work. And we can easily measure that by dowsing.
Right.
The
Or
coil
muscle
doesn't
testing.
work, or the OG won't work?
No, the coil itself, the OG will still work,
Okay.
but the coil will be inert. It will not work.
It won't amplify the OG?
No.
Okay.
Right.